Well, good evening, everybody. This is Roger Mayling, your correspondent from The Sun. I hope all my friends in the UK had a very, very uneventful 5th of November, Guy Fawkes night, and it all went well, and you had good weather. We don't celebrate it here, so it was a very quiet night. The usual dogs barking was the background noise as normal, but that was all there was. Now, look, my subject for tonight is very simply this. The difference between people who succeed and people don't is generally one thing. It's confidence. You see, we all set out with wanting to do something. And the difference between those that actually succeed at it is saying to themselves, well, we start off with the same premise, I can or I can't do this. And most of us look at it and think, do I really think I can do this? I'm not sure I can. But the fact of the matter is, you can. But it's a confidence thing. Now, whether you believe the can or the can't, guess what? You're right. And if you believe the negative, you will not succeed because you won't do what's necessary to do to be successful. You see, confidence comes really with repetition. Now, I never truly understood this, but in the army, I did. Because we would practice a drill time and time and time again. Initially, it was broken down into little segments, time segments. We used 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, whatever it was needed to make that and perform that drill. And we did that in everything we did in the army. It was all broken down and made into small segments. We got confident in segments as we went along till eventually we could put the whole thing together. Now, I was reminded of that the other day. I was trawling through YouTube to try and find something that I needed for a presentation. And I came across something that said Usain Bolt training. And I thought, oh, that'd be interesting. I'll go and have a look at that. And you know, you see this guy, he turns up on the track. He's very confident, very eloquent in the way he moves. And you can see he's a quick mover. And he gets down in his blocks and 10 seconds later, he's crossed the finishing line yards ahead of everybody else. But you know, the interesting thing was when I watched him train, and I could see why. Because he did it was painful just to watch. Because he ran until he collapsed. He ran until he threw up. He did exercise after exercise after exercise for what seemed like hours. But every time he did an exercise, he was looking for a gain. Now, I spoke previously in my other broadcasts about the slight edge. In other words, minute improvements over time give fantastic results. And that's really what he was working on. So it reminded me that if I wanted to become better at anything in life that I wanted to do, I had to accept that practice was part of my achievement. In other words, I had to practice to become better. And that's what I've done. You can have inertia. You can sit around and say, I'll wait until I am, or you can get on with it. Well, I tend to go for the philosophy of get on with it. Learn while you earn, is a lovely philosophy in our industry, that you can earn money while you're making yourself perfect. But you can't earn yourself money while you're waiting to be perfect, because the two things don't happen. Now, remember I think very few people on this video tonight will never have learned how to ride a bike. Now, a bike is part of most children's upbringing. We start off with this bike with trainer wheels, which we don't like, which we want the dad to take off, but he won't take off until we've at least gained some semblance of what riding a bike is all about. Eventually, he takes them off, and we feel really, really positive. And the first few times, we fall flat on our faces, and we think we'll never be able to do this. But your parent holds the seat, and you get more and more confident until eventually you look back and they're no longer holding the seat. They haven't been holding the seat for ages. But because you thought they were, it gave you confidence. But once you realize you didn't need them to actually do that, then you became confident and you became the Evel Knievel of riding a pedal bike. But the interesting thing is, that skill, you may not ride a pedal bike for 20 years, but you can get on a bike, and I can guarantee you may not be particularly brilliant at it, but you will still be able to ride that bike. Why? Because your brain has absorbed the information that years ago you learned how to ride a bike. So you're confident you still can ride a bike. And that's the same with learning any skill and being successful at anything. It's repetition. You know, bodybuilders, they build their bodies by doing rep after rep after athletes. You know, Usain Bolt, rep after rep after rep of fairly mundane and of fairly mundane training. But they do it to do two things. First of all, they do it to program their muscles, but also, more importantly, they do it to program their brain. You see, everything in life is mindset. You can or you can't. You will or you won't. You know, either of those statements, you're right. But to be better at something, you have to do it, and you have to do it until. And I mean until. Because if you do it for long enough, with enough passion, there will become a time when, guess what, you'll become good at it. Now, you might feel a little bit vulnerable, so you might find you need a coach. They're out there. If you work in my industry, you will find that the coaches are generally the people at the top of your business because they have succeeded. Why? Because they have done those repetitions. And all you have to do is go and knock on their door and say, hey, I'd like to become as good as you. And if they're worth their salt, they'll say, okay, I'll help you. Because guess what? They only got where they got because somebody helped them. But don't, again, it's confidence. Don't be a shrinking violet. Go and ask for help because somebody will help you and you will achieve what you want to achieve. So this is Roger Mayling, your correspondent from The Sun, signing off. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Have a good evening and be successful. Start the repetitions. The repetition is the mother of success. Remember it and you will succeed. Take care. Bye-bye.